Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Kristen Magenst, and I'm one of your product education specialists here at Trace. For your convenience, I've attached the webinar script, and again, for those who registered, you will receive an email with both the webinar recording and the script on the next business day. Additionally, this webinar will be accessible through the help menu on the TradeSmith Finance website. Our webinars are continually updated to reflect the latest site enhancements and updates. So let's go ahead and dive into the topics for today. So today I'm going to introduce you to your TradeStops program and the key features and tools designed to empower your investment journey. We will spend most of our time navigating and familiarizing ourselves with the TradeSmith Finance site. All right, let me just read a quick disclaimer and then we will get started. The information we present today and in upcoming tutorials is only for educational purposes. We are not financial advisors and cannot provide any individualized advice or recommendations. We are recording today's presentation, so if you do miss something, don't worry about it. You will be able to go back and rewatch it at your convenience. All right, let's get started. So what is TradeStops? So TradeStops will help you track and manage your investments with our indicators and tools. We do use our proprietary risk metric, the volatility quotient, or VQ, which provides customized trailing stops for your securities. And this also allows you to position size according to equal risk position sizing. There are a bunch of features that are available to TradeStops. It does depend on your subscription, though. So some things that you see on my screen, you may not have available to you, just depending if you have basic, plus, premium, pro, or elite. But some of the features that are available would be like the portfolio creation, importing capabilities, doing like a portfolio analysis, using some management tools, and setting those alerts like price alerts, trailing stops. We even have like time-specific alerts, fundamental alerts. Within TradeStops, you can also use the position size tool, and you can also link like your newsletters and TradeSmith publications. So it just all depends on what subscription you have to see what you have access to. All right, let me get rid of this and we're going to head to the website. One moment. All right, so I'm on my TradeSmith Finance account. Just as a reminder, you will log into your account via finance.tradesmith.com, no matter what product you hold with us. Also, I do have access to the full suite of TradeSmith products because I do have a platinum subscription. So your site and tabs may look completely different from mine. So let's go ahead and just start quickly with the help menu, where you can go to access additional educational resources, including all of these boot camps that we do. So to do that, you would just click on the help button here. And then if you come down to TradeSmith Bootcamp and video tutorials and click on that to expand, here's where you can register for upcoming classes. We have not updated it yet for August, so be sure to come in at the end of this month to see what classes we have for August. And any previously recorded boot camps that me and Marina has done, you're going to find them here. And any short how-to video tutorials, they'll be located here. Within your script at the very bottom, I did put a link to our Getting Started series page where you can literally go in and find the subscription that you have with us and get all of your Getting Started series videos. There are about 10 to 12 per product that me and Marina has been working on. So far, TradeStops is in there, options, ideas. So definitely check out that link. It's all the way at the bottom of your script. And I'll show you guys at the end too, if we have time, where those are located. Those of you that would like to set up a complimentary concierge with one of our knowledgeable agents in customer service, you can do that by expanding this customer success team tab here. and scheduling a concierge appointment. This is basically where you will control the call. You'll book the date and time that you want the agent to call you and what you want to talk about. They also can use Co-Browse, which is a program where we can see your screen and basically walk you through you using your screen. So it's really neat. And again, it's complimentary. We don't have time to go through the steps to set up your concierge appointment. So if you watch this quick how-to video right below it, it goes through the steps of how to book that concierge. And there's some instructions in your script as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this and we'll get started. All right, so let's start with your site navigational tabs. So you'll notice that your site navigational tabs will be found at the top navigational header. And again, remember, all navigational tabs do pertain to your subscription. So your TradeSmith finance site will house your active TradeSmith subscriptions. So any feature we covered today, it's going to mostly pertain to TradeStops. So you're good if you're here just for TradeStops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the TradeStops into steps. There's about 10 steps. However, we're only going to get to a couple of them, but the rest of the steps in your script, I did put quick start videos that Marina and I have worked on this past year to go into those features that we don't cover today. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is setting up your account. So the first thing you want to do is create your portfolios. So the My Portfolios page is where you're going to go to do that. So if you click on My Portfolios, you're going to click on Manage. And you're going to think of the Manage tab as your virtual filing cabinet. So here is where you're going to set up your investment and watch list portfolios. So we're going to go through the steps of adding a portfolio, like syncing with a broker. And that's what most people do choose to do when they set up their TradeStops is link to brokerage. So let's go ahead and go through that and see what that looks like. So you're going to have a green button that says Add Portfolio. If this is your first time doing it, you're probably going to see this button in the middle of your screen here. So it's the same button. So let's click on Add Portfolio. And you'll notice there are 3 ways to create a portfolio. The first one is link to brokerage. So this is the most convenient one. So this is going to allow you to import your online brokerage accounts. And what that entails is we will automatically update your synced portfolios as soon as we detect like transactions at your broker. We also give you the ability to add manually if you don't want to link your brokerage. And what this does is here is where you can create a manual investment portfolio or a watch list to track your potential trades. The last option we give you is to upload a CSV file. So typically this is helpful if you maybe have a broker that we don't support. You can actually ask your broker for a CSV file, which is like a spreadsheet of all your securities, and upload them all at once versus manually entering them one by one like you would do here. But again, most members do decide to import their brokerage accounts because they want to skip like that manual approach of updating your positions. However, any way you go, whether it be linked to brokerage, add manually, or uploading that CSV file, we want to make sure you are aware that there's nothing wrong if you want to do like manually tracking. We will still update your positions and alerts the same way regardless. So we're just going to go through the steps of linking your brokerage. So I'm going to click on link to brokerage. And the site will route you to this little page, just letting you know that our data vendor is Yodlee, which employs most encrypted and protected industry-leading technology that most banks employ. So it is extremely safe and secure to upload your synced portfolio with us. We do not store any of your login credentials on our servers. It is a read-only data transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And the site's going to route us to select a broker. On this page, we usually just include like commonly used brokers. But if you don't see yours, don't worry. We do put this search box here so you can search for your broker here. And the process is overall pretty painless. So I'm going to search for my broker because we use like a test site. So feel free to pick your broker if you're doing this with me. So I'm going to type in the DAG site. That's just our test site that we use. Again, if say you use Chase, you would type in Chase here and so forth since it wasn't on that main screen. So I'm going to click my broker. Now, a crucial step before entering your brokerage credentials is to ensure that you are logged out of your brokerage account. And then you also want to be sure that you type in your credentials manually, because what happens a lot of times, people get stuck on this page the very first time when you import, because a lot of you use a password manager. So do I. So it definitely would autofill usually the wrong login credentials. Usually, if you're using a password manager, it's going to fill in the TradeSmith credentials. And we don't want you to put your TradeSmith credentials here. We actually want you to put your username and password that you log in over at the broker house. So I'm going to do that now. So let me just get my password over here on my notepad. Again, I'm copying and pasting it. You don't want to do that. I just copy and paste it because the password is really long and I have it saved on a notepad, but and I don't have a password manager set up, so that's why I was able to copy and paste. But definitely click on this little I just to make sure your password's correct over at your broker that you're entering here. So once you do that, you're going to hit submit. And the import process can take a few minutes or seconds. Usually it's pretty quick. If you do get stuck here and a box appears, you have enabled extra security over your broker. So if it's asking for a multi-factor authentication code, you definitely want to check your phone because you probably got like a code sent to your phone. But once these accounts are imported, we're going to be redirected to the Manage tab where we were the very first time, where I said is like your filing cabinet. And you don't have to wait for the countdown. I could have hit the next button to speed up the process. In your script, I did put these new pro tips. We're not going to go over them, but just some extra tips. So for example, this is just an important one that I just want to let you guys know of. We do want you guys to log into your TradeSmith account at least once a week, especially if you're syncing with us, because this is going to ensure that we do not lose the link between your broker. And you can check out the sync date once we come over to this page that it brought us to. You always want to make sure your sync date shows yesterday's date or today's date. Most of the time it's going to show yesterday's. Unless you synced today, it's going to show today's date because it always goes by the latest close. So all of your sync date should show the 22nd. Unless you uploaded right now with me, then it's going to show the 23rd. All right. So let's go ahead and look at our portfolio. So you can see the type of portfolios you have here. I did upload a manual portfolio. So that's the second option where you can hand type all of your stocks that you own and do it all yourself. And then these are the synced portfolios. So that's why it says S and manual. In your script, I did put some helpful tips. If we do lose like the sync with your broker or this date is lagging, there are some helpful tips that you can go through to troubleshoot it yourself. And they're very, very easy because sometimes or most of the time, those little tips could definitely fix a sync error. So you don't have to, email us and wait for one of our agents to get back with you. You would save yourself a lot of time. So definitely save those instructions in your script under the pro tip. All right. So now what we are going to do is move on to our next step, which is determining your exit strategies. So planning your exit strategies is crucial for your portfolio preservation. TradeSmith does use proprietary indicators. We do offer like a customized approach for managing each position. So I did create a test portfolio with stocks of varying risks and health. So I'm going to use that test portfolio. I'm not going to use the two portfolios that we imported. That was just to show you how to import your portfolios. And they only have like 5 or 6 positions in them. I'm going to go ahead and use my test investment portfolio. So I'm going to click on the portfolio name to open your portfolio. So anytime you want to open your portfolio, you're just going to click on the portfolio name. And then one other thing, we're not going to cover like these columns in this particular tutorial. I will link how to create your portfolio where we go over these tabs under portfolio creation. But in order for us to cover alerts and everything else, we do have to skip over what all this means. But again, we do cover that in another lesson. So I'm going to open this portfolio. Again, I created a investment portfolio with all different risks and health, just so I can show you how it can differentiate between all the stocks in our database. All right, so we're going to start with the VQ column. So the VQ column is here, and your tabs here may look a little different than mine. I do go and use the position view customizer and customize my tabs here. We do have a whole entire lesson on that, and I'll go ahead and include that in your script later when we're finished, so you have that. But you can definitely customize all these tabs. But you guys should all have the VQ percent column, no matter if you have basic plus anything. So you definitely should see this VQ column. So this VQ column is the volatility quotient. So this is actually the heart of our system. We actually started our entire company on the volatility quotient. This column is based on historical price data, and we're actually able to determine the normal risk for any given stock, mutual fund, ETF, index, and even cryptocurrencies. So behind the scenes, our VQ is basically calculating all of these tickers and determining what percentage we're going to assign to each ticker based on their market move. So basically, our proprietary information that's running in the background knows how these stocks move up or down. So we give it enough room up or down for market moves. So the VQ can also help you determine your trailing stops for all your holdings. Again, it's based on normal risk. So again, how much room you can give the position so you don't get stopped out too early. So that's the whole entire point, is keeping you in a little longer and then getting you out when your alert goes off when it reaches these percentages. So there is a breakdown of our VQ. So you'll notice that all of these percentages are different. So what that means is, every stock moves differently in the market. Some are high risk, medium risk, low risk. So we do have a little chart, I put it in your script, of the breakdown. So these numbers right here, these percentages, any percent that you see 15% or below, we're going to consider that a low risk stock. Any percentage that you see here, like this one, that is 15 to 30%, we're going to consider it a medium risk stock. Any percent that you see from 30 to 50%, we consider it a high risk stock. So it would be these. And then any percentage you see here that's over 50%, we're going to consider that sky high risk. So DoorDash would be considered a sky high risk stock because it's over 50%, the VQ. That's the percentage that we have to allow DoorDash up or down with market moves in order to stay in the game, basically. So the reason I'm going over this is because a lot of investors usually, or are used to, even before I started working here, I grew up learning about stocks with my dad, had portfolios for us. And so I just remember my dad always having his general 25% trailing stop. And I think that's just way he learned from all his newsletters or whatnot. So most investors do use a general 25% trailing stop across the board for all of your stocks. But the thing is, we don't use a one size fits all approach. So that's why we came up with this VQ percent for each individual stock, because what we have come to find out is that if you're putting a 25% trailing stop on all of your stocks, you're going to get the alert way before to get out, and you'll lose money versus staying in a little longer and letting the stock move up or down. And it may never even go off the alert, and it's just moving up and down. So let me go over that a little more into detail. So for example, if I were to use a 25% trailing stop on Sempra Energy, this one right here. So Sempra Energy moves up and down about 17% up or down. If I were to add a 25% trailing stop to this, I'm taking more risk than necessary in this trade with that wider stop loss. So it doesn't really make sense to allow this stock to fall 25% before you're out of the trade. So if we use TradeSmith's VQs, it's going to be right basically on the money. And then for DoorDash, let's look at that example and do it the opposite side. So DoorDash, if I were to use a 25% trailing stop on DoorDash, this would basically get whipped right out of the trade because DoorDash moves 52%. So if I were to add that 25% trailing stop alert, that would probably go off as soon as I add it in our system. So more likely I would use our percentages for all of these stocks. And I'm going to show you how to set that up in just a second. And so this is going to be one alert, which is our VQ and how like a trailing stop alert. But most of you will use this alert, which is the health indicator. So this basically uses a simple green, yellow, red light system, and this incorporates momentum. So if a security stays within its VQ, so if it's moving up and down, as long as it doesn't go over that VQ, it's actually going to stay in the green zone and be healthy. And it can also be a buy signal when you see stocks in a green zone. If any of your stocks show yellow here, that means it's halfway to its VQ and heading maybe into the red zone. So your yellow, I don't have any yellow here, but any yellow is just like a traffic light. It's going to mean caution. Just keep an eye on it. It could either go back into the green or fall into the red. Now, any stocks you see here that show the red zone, which is your sell signal, that means it's dropped beyond the VQ. So Morgan Stanley and UPS is past their VQs, so they're in the red. So a lot of you might have red positions if you're new with us. And I usually don't have red positions in my portfolio because my exit strategy is to sell on red. So I do go by the health. If you click here, this little information bubble, you're going to get a breakdown of what each one means. So we do have 3 different yellows: yellow uptrend, side trend, and downtrend, but it all means the same. It's halfway to red, and just to use caution and watch those stocks because it could fall into the red zone or go back to the green. So if you're following the health exit alert, you're going to exit when you get an alert letting you know it's in the red zone. You would go and over to your broker side and put that sell order in. All right. And the health indicator also lets you know when it's safe to re-enter the trade. So what's really neat about this alert here that you can use is if you do get out of a trade, so say I sold Morgan Stanley tonight, so say I sold it today over at my broker, tonight in the nightly cycle, what will happen is we'll get notification that I closed this trade and we'll automatically close it for you. That's the whole convenience of syncing your broker with us. We'll close it for you, and we actually still watch the positions for you. So say I closed this Morgan Stanley, and you wouldn't do this. I'm just closing it because this is a manual portfolio, but we would close it automatically for you if it was a synced portfolio. I just want to show you how it would look, how we're still tracking it. So say that this is being all automated and I'm not really doing it. So say I sold Morgan Stanley, we would close the position automatically for you. You would log in tomorrow and you wouldn't see Morgan Stanley here because you made that sell order, but we still keep an eye on your closed positions. You just have to change this to closed. And then you'll see that it's listed here because what we're doing is we're actually still watching these trades for you because we also offer re-entry signal alert. So if any of your closed positions go back into the green zone, you will be notified via text or email letting you know, hey, Morgan Stanley has went back into the green zone. It's safe to get back in. And that could be your alert if you want to purchase Morgan Stanley again. So we do definitely still keep an eye on your closed positions. I'm going to go back to my open positions. All right, so what alerts should we use? Again, if you're following our indicators, you will use the health indicator as your primary entry and exit strategy. So when you're using our tools, you only buy stocks that are in the green zone and so forth, because it's also considered a buy alert. The health indicator, again, tracks the security's VQ from a recent high close price. So how this works, it's very comprehensive. As higher highs are detected, that trailing stop loss shifts higher to lock in your profits. If you do not have access to this health indicator alert, that is when you can use the VQ trailing stops by themselves. So the VQ trailing stop, these over here, tracks the volatility quotient from a recent high close price on or after your entry date. So it is going based on your entry date. So all the prices for each of you are going to be different based on when you got in. We also offer a wide variety of other alerts that you can use as your exit plans, and we'll get to those in just a minute. So let me go over some examples of what do we do with positions in the red zone or that don't have an active health indicator. So you guys may see these at the bottom that say NA. If any of you guys have any gray NA securities front and center, you want to look at those first. What that means is the gray NA buttons just means that we don't have enough necessary information to give it a health color. Because again, the health indicator is actually very comprehensive. It's our most conservative indicator, and that's why most people use the health indicators as their exit strategy, because we actually need 2 years of historical trading data to even provide any colors for it. So that just means that the ticker symbol SOLV has not been trading for 2 years. So again, we cannot assign a health for that. And then if it's only been trading a year or more, we can assign a VQ. But this looks like a pretty new stock under a year, because if it's 1 year or less, we do a blanket 25%. So this is a new stock. It hasn't even been on the market for a year. All right, so let's add our alerts based on what we have in my portfolio. So to add your alerts, so while we have our red zone alerts here, I'm going to move these to the top. So what you could do is click here and move your red ones to the top so you can work with those first if you wanted to, or you can leave them at the bottom, whatever you prefer. So we're going to take care of those first. So while we're on this subject really quick and looking at these little pills here, I just want to show you what each button means, these little numbers here, because it's a big question that we get. So each button here is going to tell you how long it's been in that current state. So for example, UPS has been in the red zone for 2 years or more. That's what the Y stands for. The next one is going to be in the green zone for 1 year or more. M is going to mean months. So this Amazon's been in the green for 9 months. The W is going to be weeks. So this has been in the green zone for 2 weeks or more. And then if you have anyone that says D, which I have some right here, that's days. So these are very new in the green zone. So these 3 have only been in the green zone for 7 or 6 days. So that's what those little numbers mean. All right, let's get back to business. So I'm going to set the VQ trailing stop on our red zone and gray zone stocks. Or you can actually add the VQ for all of your stocks. That's what I usually do. I like to have the health first, which, by the way, if you guys are like, how do I add the health alerts? It's automatically included in your subscription as long as you don't have basic as an included alert. So your health alerts should already be set up automatically. You do not have to do anything if you want these alerts on there. You just wait for your email or text to alert you if it's gone into the yellow or red zone. So this does not count towards your alerts. But this VQ, your trailing stops, we had to add on manually. So if you want to add trailing stops in addition to the health, you can certainly do so. That's kind of a smart idea to do because you're going to have 2 alerts. You would have this as your first line of defense. Say you get an alert and one of your stocks go into the red zone, but you look at it and you see that you have, a gain on that particular stock. You may want to stay in on the red positions, and that's totally fine. Just make sure you have your trailing stop alerts on there. So we're going to add this alert, which is going to be basically like your safety net. That's what I usually tell people is go ahead and add your trailing stops on as your safety net. So that's your second alert. So just in case, another good example is say that you say one of these alerts go into the red, but you missed that email or text and it's gone in the red. If you don't have any other alert set up, that stock is basically just sitting there, not alerting you for anything. And that is not good because if you miss that, you could potentially lose a lot of money. So it's best to always put a second alert as your safety net. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to add VQ trailing stops. And I'm going to use TradeSmiths. I'm going to use all these different ones. I'm not going to use a specific percentage trailing stop, like a 20 or 25%, although you're certainly able to do that if you wish, if you don't want to use ours. All right, so it's very simple to add the VQs. What you're going to notice, do you see these little bells here, how they say 0? Those are your alerts. But don't be alarmed thinking that you don't have an alert on here because it says 0, because you do have these alerts set up. It's just running in the background. But you're going to notice once I add all these, you're going to notice that these bells usually are going to turn black and it's going to show a number 1. So that's going to show that I have 1 alert, which is this set on the position, but technically it's 2 alerts, but we're not charging you because you have only a specific number of alerts. This is still running. So don't think that you only have 1 alert. You essentially have 2 if you add this. All right, so let's go ahead and add our VQ trailing stop alerts. So to do it all at once, very, very simple. If you want to put the trailing stop on all of your positions, again, we're doing this as a safety net for a second alert to be alerted if your positions go in the red and you decide to stay in, or say you missed the alert or text, you'll still be in the game because you have those trailing stops on there. So if you want to put on all of them, just basically click inside this little white box at the very top. That's going to select all of your positions in your portfolio. And then at the very bottom, you're going to hit add alert. You'll notice that there's some templates in here. Open this. So we do allow you to do a specific percentage if you wanted to, because some people do like to use 25% or 20% based on like your newsletter advice. Maybe your newsletter is telling you to add a certain percentage on, and you're going to take their advice, obviously, because that's why you're following the newsletter. But that's why we put these here. But what I'm going to do to use TradeSmith's trailing stops, I'm going to find the one that does not have a specific percentage. So that's going to just say VQ trailing stop. And that means I'm going to use all of these different ones running behind it. So I'm going to click on VQ trailing stop. I'm going to hit OK. And then it's going to say that your alerts have been added successfully. So you'll see what I mean, that the bell column now displays a solid black bell with the number indicating the number of alerts. Some of you that did that, if you have any purple bells, that means your alert was already triggered. So that could very well be a lot of you guys, especially if you're new and you just imported your portfolio, you could have purple bells. And if you do have those purple bells, that basically means that the trailing stop here, it's already past that. So you definitely want to click on your purple bell. So if this was purple, you would definitely want to click on it. Let me see if I have any. I don't think I do. I don't. If you have any purple bells still here, that needs your attention. So definitely all you're going to do is click on the bell and it's going to bring you to this particular ticker position card based just on that ticker by itself to review what alert went off and find another alert to put on so you have something watching it, or you would basically sell that position. So basically, we're not going to do that today, but you would just click on your bell. I'll do it really quick. Click on the bell, and this should be purple and tell you which one went off. And you could either open this and edit it to a higher percentage if you wanted to. But remember, you're giving yourself more risk by doing that. That's only if you want to stay in. Not a lot of people will stay in when that second alert goes off. They usually would get out for the first alert, which is the green, yellow, red light. Some do stay in on red. Then they wait for the trailing stop to go off. That's your second alert letting you know, hey, it's already in the red. It's already reached the VQ. I think it's time to step aside. But we do have some risk takers. And if both alerts go off, you definitely want to come in here, click on add alert, or adjust this VQ percentage here to a higher percentage. Again, you're going to give yourself more risk. Or the best thing to do if you're still going to stay in on a red zone position, and if it's reached your VQ, is add a price alert. So if you click on price, it's best to add a fixed price alert. So you basically just add the dollar amount you're comfortable with stepping aside. So say this is the latest close is $55, even though it says latest price. Say it's $55. I could put in there $50. So that is basically telling the system, if this position closes below $50, I want to be alerted to get out. So that again would be my third alert. Okay. So let me go back to where we were in my portfolios. You could either click on my portfolios or there's a shortcut right here. And you'll notice now that says 2. So what that means is I have 3 alerts. I have the health. Well, not really on this one because it doesn't have the health, but it has the VQ percent and the fixed price alert. Okay. So you could definitely add more than these 2 alerts if you want to stay in longer and say it's in the red zone and it's past the VQ. All right. And in your script, I did put a couple helpful videos of like actually focusing solely on how these 2 indicators work and how they go along with trends. So definitely watch those videos. They're very short, but I do go into detail, Marina does too, of how this is working in the background with our algorithms for our indicators of health and VQ. All right. Now, you definitely want to make sure when I said the health indicators here is included with your subscription if you have plus or higher. You definitely just want to check to make sure they're on. They should automatically be on if you haven't touched it and messed with the settings. But we definitely, if you're a new member, we definitely want you to go into your settings to make sure they're all set up because again, this health indicator is kind of like a global alert. So it's globally set up across portfolios, your newsletters, baskets, and the Billionaires Club if you have that access to that. So I just want to show you really quick in your settings where to go to make sure that your health alerts are on and make sure you're getting these alerts. Again, this is most people's exit strategy will definitely be on the health alerts, and it is a conservative exit strategy. So if you click on your name in the upper right-hand corner and click on settings, you would definitely want to go to alerts here. And this is where you can go to adjust your system alerts. And I could definitely spend an entire lesson going through all these settings, but today we're just going to focus on the system alerts and we'll revisit other settings later. And we do have an entire lesson focused completely on the settings page. I did not include that in your script, I just noticed, but I will put that in for your system settings. So you'll notice here, this is where I want you guys to check your system alerts. So as long as your system alerts for your investment portfolios are all checked here, that means you're going to get the health alert automatically. So you don't have to worry about it not being on. If you don't have a check in there, you definitely want to click in the box to put that green check. Again, you can use your health indicator, the exit strategy on your real investments. You can even use it on your watch list portfolios that you're watching that you're not invested in yet. So say you set up watch list portfolios and they're in the green zone because you're not sure about getting into it yet. Definitely have these alerts on those too, so you can be alerted if any of your watch list portfolios go into the red zone, so you can check that one off your list to not buy it, basically. We also set up health indicators for your newsletters. I will say that your newsletters, it's two different mindsets. So a lot of times, if you access your newsletter, a lot of times recommendations from your newsletters will be in the red zone. And you guys are going to think to yourself, well, I thought red was bad. It's, you sell on red, you don't buy on red. Why is this newsletter telling me to buy on red when TradeSmith says, no, that's bad? So you kind of have to draw a line in the sand. There is two different mindsets here. So TradeSmith with our health indicators, a green, yellow, red, it is 100% math-based. Their formulas and algorithms. Nothing goes into that except math. On the other hand, the newsletter space is not solely relying on math. They're relying on a bunch of different factors. They're relying sometimes on fundamentals, research analysis, even social media, like the Swan brothers with Likefolio. Their recommendations are based on what people are tweeting, and so you just have to keep that in mind that TradeSmith is 100% math-based for TradeStops and our health indicator. And the VQ percentages, they're all 100% math-based. So you will run into that where you will get a lot of alerts, probably if you have these on for your newsletters, letting you know they're in the red zone because, again, it's two different mindsets. All right. Now, in your script, I did put steps 4, 5, steps 4 through 10, which is just the tools that you can use within TradeStops. So step 4 would be analyze portfolio. There's a quick start video. It's about 8 minutes. Definitely use the click here there in your webinar script to access that. And then all the other steps also have those quick videos. So these are tools, the last steps. We just don't have time to go over the tools, but they're all located into your script. And then at the end of your script, there is also the education center for all of the Getting Started series we've produced so far. So we literally go into each tool and tab here, and they're all broken down, and they're here. So if you go to your help button, education center, this is new. Getting Started series, kick off your journey with TradeSmith, dive into quick start video tutorials for all TradeSmith products, more videos to come because we're actually working on ratings, predictive alpha, and trade cycles now. But this is what we've produced so far. So you would come in here and find your subscription. So if you're wanting to learn more from today's lesson, because we didn't have time to go over the tools, if you click on TradeStops Basic, depending on if you have Basic, Premium, or Pro or Elite, you have to find which subscription you have with us, and I'll show you where to find that really quick. But say I had TradeStops Plus, I'll use this one. So if I wanted to learn more on the tools that's in your script, click here. And these are all your welcome videos. So this is welcome to TradeStops, how to import, how to create portfolios, and all the tools that you can use. All right, let me show you really quick the Getting Started series. So in order to know what subscription you have, you may not know, like, well, what do I click on? Do I have TradeStops Premium? Do I have Pro? Do I have Elite? The best way to save yourself some time and a headache seeing what you have, let's go back to the site. You're going to click on your name. You're going to click on account. And we've updated this a lot. You can actually do all of your account management yourself, like update your credit card, see when your new invoices are coming out. You can do everything yourself. This should automatically load for you, but I've noticed that it hasn't been. So even though this looks like it's not a button, it's weird. You do still click on it and you see how it lights up. So if it's not loading, click on that login and it should load. So basically this is your account management once it loads, and I'll show you. All right, so here is going to be all of your information, but if you go to my subscriptions here, here is where you can see what subscription you exactly have. That way you can find the correct Getting Started series, okay? Because every Getting Started series here is completely different based on the tools you have. So say you had Plus and you clicked on TradeStops Pro and Elite, these videos are going to have tools that you don't even have access to. So it's best to find your subscription. So again, your subscription should be here. I have a lot on here because it's platinum. So just look for your subscription and it should say like TradeStops Plus or Ideas or so forth, or even Trade 360. And you would go back and find your Getting Started series. If you just have access like Predictive Alpha and other subscriptions, we're working on those videos now. But so far we have options, ideas, and TradeStops in here. All right, and then one last thing I wanted to show you guys that's new on TradeStops is on the dashboard. So I'm going to go back to the site and then we'll wrap this up. If you go to dashboard, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but now you can edit your layout. So this is new. This just came out last Thursday. So if you click on edit layout, you're able to edit the way you see your dashboard. This was a big request from members. So if you click on edit layout, you can actually, I know there's a lot here, so it can be a little intimidating. You can actually customize your experience and rearrange, adjust the visibility of widgets, and you would just basically move them like this. So say you don't want this. So let me show you. So you see this market carousel right here. Say that you don't want this here. You can go to edit, click on it. You're going to stay clicked on it, kind of like the position views. When you set them up, you don't let go of it until you put it where you want it. So you're going to drag it. So say I want that market carousel underneath the fear and greed. I can move this under here, or say I want this market carousel at the very top. I can move it up if I wanted to, and so forth. So you would click it and pull it down, just depending on what you want to see. And then you can just hit apply. Let me move this down to show you how it changes. Say I want it there, apply, and you'll see where it moves it down here. So there's a bunch of ways you can edit your layout. You could play around with it and, move all these if you want, but this is brand new. All right, so and then if you do mess this up and say that you rearranged it and you did not want it rearranged like that, don't worry. You can reset it back to your default. You would click that and hit apply, and it'll go back to how it was. All right, so this is all the time we have for today. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, and we're going to continue all these series as our lessons go on. So don't worry that we weren't able to go over the tools and stuff. And plus, that would be way too long of a lesson and way too much for you to comprehend or restore. if we go past like 45 minutes or an hour. So let me go ahead and bring up the contact us and I'll look at some questions for you guys. One moment. All right. So if you are interested in any of our many products and services, definitely give our plan specialist a call. Their phone number is 800-597-1829. And you can speak to one of our knowledgeable plan specialists. They can help you guide you in the right direction of what subscription works best for you. So you can basically let them know where you're really looking for, and they can help you to ensure that you have the right mix of products and services to maximize your specific investment style. All of our investment styles are different. We have a product usually tailored, for you. So definitely if you're not happy with your product or subscription, definitely give them a call and they can usually help change that all up for you. You can also let them know that you attended a boot camp training. That's where you got their information from. So if they're like, how do they know all this? Just let them know that Marina and I sent you. They might have special offers. You never know. So, all right, let me bring up the contact us. All right, thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact our dedicated customer success team. We don't have any more webinars this month, but be sure to check out the help menu later this month for our August lessons. So thanks again for joining us and letting us be a part of your educational journey. And please feel free to stick around for our live Q&A. Until next time, bye for now. So Jan, your first question. How do you add tags to your stocks in your portfolios? Good question. So if you click on My Portfolios, you want to be sure that you have the tags and notes column first in order to add that. So if you click on Manage, open any of your portfolios. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can select one, like you can either select all of your positions that you want to add notes and tags to, or specific ones by just clicking on the box you're wanting to add the notes to. So this is one way you can do it. You could do a bulk edit where you click on all of them or the ones you want, click bulk edit, and you can add your notes and tags here all at once. You can see where I use my tags as like the sectors. I just like to do that where they're coming off of, like energy, healthcare, so forth. And then your notes you can put here. I know mine look like a lot. Don't pay attention to this, but I usually do like the ranking sometimes on baskets and I copy those over, but this is gonna be a little more complicated to do. But again, you can add any type of notes and tags you want here. Make sure you hit save changes. Another way to do it is clicking on the actual ticker and doing it this way. Tags and notes here. So tags and notes, the little pencil, and you can add your tags and notes here. Just be sure to hit save. Now, if you go back to your portfolio, say that you want the notes and tags to show up on this screen with all your positions and you want to see the column here with your notes and tags, you can definitely do that. You just have to make sure it's added on. Let me see. There's a scroll bar down here, by the way, to see all your other columns. But if you don't see the notes and tags here, you have to definitely add the column. So let me show you how to do that. So click on the pencil. This is me customizing my position views. And there is a lesson I'm going to add to the script that shows you in detail how to do this. Click on the pencil. Okay, then you want to look for the column that shows notes or tags and make sure you add that. And usually it's under positions. So right here. So you see how I don't have the notes and tags clicked? I'm going to put those on, those columns. You want to definitely make sure that you hit save at the bottom. Now, before you hit save, if you added any column up here by putting the little green check, usually any column that you add, it's going to add it all the way to the end over here where you really don't see it. So before you save, you're going to want to drag it over here so you can see it. Again, I'm going to put this lesson in the script, so I don't want to confuse you guys because this is a little I wouldn't say difficult, but it's a process. All right, so before we hit save, I still want to be in edit mode. So think of this like as edit mode. I'm editing my columns down here. So the same thing, adding columns, you can actually remove columns. So say you don't care about, let's see, what's a good one I really don't care about having. Say I don't really want like the exchange name or the industry or the sector showing. I could take those out to do less columns down here. So take some of these columns out so you don't have so many to scroll over to look at. But anyways, if you want the notes and tags to show up when you go to my portfolios, we have to drag them. So we're not going to hit save yet. I'm going to scroll down. Anything that you add is going to be at the back of the line. So you have to scroll all the way down, get your scroll bar here, go all the way to the end. You see the notes and tags here? Say you want to move them to the front of the line, you can certainly do so. This is the tricky part. So what you want to do to drag them is you would click on the column. You're not going to let go of your mouse. You're not going to click it and unclick it. You're going to click it, hold your finger down to drag it. Then you're going to drag it to where you want it to be and drop it. Now, if you still want it more to the front, you have to come down here, scroll over, pick it back up. Again, I'm clicking, I'm not letting go, and move it to where you want it to be and drop it. And then vice versa for these as well. You can take it, drop it at your halfway mark and pick it back up because there's just so much columns you have to do that, unfortunately. And you can move it and hit save. Now, say you don't care about notes and tags, you can still rearrange everything on here. Like for example, I love to have my health stop price here. I set that up here. So if you click on the button, make sure your health stop price is there because this is going to come in handy. Let me cancel out of here since I didn't make any changes. I put this column here next to the health and VQ because I want to know how close it is to stopping out. So let me show you how I use this really quick. So I put these 4 columns next to each other. I put the health, the VQ, the health stop price, which corresponds to this, and the latest close. So I like these 2 next to each other because I like to see what the latest close is on each position and what the health stop price is on each position. So I can kind of look quickly if I'm in a hurry and I'm just logging in quickly. My eyes tend to go here and I can say, okay, well, let's see an example. Which one is like close to getting to the red? Say this. I can look and say, Lila, the latest close is $9.91. However, if Lila or Leela closes at $6.62 or below, this is going to go into the red. So you'll notice if you hover over the green, it's going to tell you the remaining risk. So it says the remaining risk on this position is $3.29. And if you're wondering where we get that number from, it's basically the latest close minus this. So if you get your calculator and do $9.91 minus $6.62, you're going to come up with $3.29. So to save yourself the math of doing that and driving yourself crazy, like what does the remaining risk mean? What does the remaining risk mean? Just add your health stop price column here. I'm sorry, my son just came home from summer camp. So yeah, he's a little loud. And where was I? What was I saying? See how he distracts me? Okay, so instead of doing this math, where you have to do this math, add this column. I'm telling you, it's such a good column to have so you can see how close it is. And you'll know, okay, well, if, let's see, if, I'm trying to think of a one that's popular. I don't see any. DoorDash, for example. So say DoorDash, the latest close was $104.50. That's the latest close yesterday. If DoorDash closes at $70.77 or below, this is going to go into the red zone and you're going to get that alert. So I just love this column. And that is when you hover over this, the remaining risk is the latest close price minus the health stop price. All right, let's go to the next question. I know I got a little sidetracked on that one, but I just tell everybody, even when I do concierge with some people, I always make sure I set their account up with this health stop. And I like to put it in this order next to the latest close so you can compare. All right, what is the peak conviction level? Let me go back to the dashboard. That's for trade cycles, if you have access to it. So that's going to be down here. And we're actually coming up with a new help menu. Marina and I are working on it now, and you're going to have all like information bubbles on your dashboard, hotspots, so many interactive things once we're completed with this. So it's really exciting to get the help menu and the hotspots activated so you guys can see. But what it is basically just hints on your page. You'll have like an eye next to things like this kind of. You'll have eye next to things that you have questions on, like Jason Bonner score. We have one for that. I'll have an eye here explaining what it is. Same with business quality score. So I can't wait for that to come out. But for the question that's asking about what is like the conviction level in cycles, that the conviction level has to do with, where is the cycles, right? With our cycles, trade cycles. Basically, the conviction level, the higher the conviction level, the more likelihood of that peak or valley. Did I miss? Where's the trade cycles? Did I get rid of it? Oh, right here. Wait. Okay, there it is. So trade cycles. So trade cycles, each position in our database has a specific conviction level. It could be low, medium, high, or very high. And basically, the higher the conviction level, the more likely it's going to happen. And meaning the peaks or valleys. So cycles is a product that we have, which is one of my favorites, where we can predict prices up to 6 months in advance. And we can see if it's going to be in a peak or valley at a certain time. So a peak, we can see if positions are going to be in a peak up to 6 months in advance, meaning when prices are going to fall. So if it's in a peak, think of a peak, there's nowhere else to go but down. Even though it has an up arrow, this does not mean prices are expected to go higher. The peak means prices are expected to go lower. So any positions in a peak, it's going to tell you if it's in a peak, the conviction level. If it say Apple is in a peak next week for a week and the conviction level is high, most likely that is going to happen where Apple's prices are going to go lower. If any positions are in a valley, that means prices are expected to go higher. So during the time frame that it tells you in the conviction level, prices are expected to go higher during that time frame. And so people leverage our cycles product as timing the markets to get out of positions to make the most money. So obviously you would sell when prices are higher to get more money, and then not sell if prices are expected to go lower so you don't lose money. But that's a whole other topic, and I don't see who asked that. But if you click on the help button and click on TradeSmith Bootcamp video and tutorials and previously recorded bootcamps, there is a bootcamp focused solely on cycles. And that is going to be, I think, market analysis. No, that's health. 1 second. We changed all this up. Okay. Yep. So product orientation. So you would go to your help menu. Let me do this again. Help. Bootcamps and video tutorials. Previously recorded bootcamps. Orientation. So if you want to learn about trade cycles, think of an orientation like a getting started, like we are with TradeStops right now. Click on that. And then you would just click on getting started with trade cycles. And it's about 55 minutes long. Here's the webinar script and the PowerPoint slides. So this goes all about the cycles, because I know that could be confusing how I just explained it, because there's more to it. All right, next question. What is the benefit of equal risk position sizing in a portfolio? That benefit is definitely a huge benefit. So basically, what we mean by equal risk position sizing is using our position sizing tool. So in your script, I did put a quick start video of how to use the position size tool. So what that means is when you first come to TradeStops, we definitely want you to be using that position size calculator, especially if you're buying new stocks in your portfolio, because it's going to basically allocate how much of a stock you should buy and how much shares to have equal position sizing straight down the line for your risk. So to find that calculator, it's going to be under My Portfolios. And or is it under Invest? Yeah, it's under Invest. I'm sorry. Under Invest, position sizing. So basically, this is the amount of money you put into each of your investments. And again, it is critical to your success. And I can't go through this today because the whole other lesson, but I did put the video in your script. So basically, you can run your portfolio and it's going to tell you your equal position sizing. So you're not too heavily weighted in one stock versus the other, and you're equally weighted straight down the line in your portfolio. You can think of the position size calculator hand in hand with our risk rebalancer tool, which we can't go over today either, so I'm sorry. But definitely check out your script, it's in there. And we also have an entire video on position sizing in your help menu here. Boot camps and video tutorials, previously recorded boot camps, and that's going to be on tools. So I believe it's going to be under portfolio management. Let's see. And it is the position size tool. Calculate your position sizing. If you click on that, it's about 50 minutes long, and here's your script. Okay, so we definitely have videos on every single tool. All right, let's see. So how do I analyze your portfolio on our platform? That's a good question. So if you go to My Portfolios, the very first thing when you click on My Portfolios is our Analyze Portfolio tool. That's the very first tab. So basically, we can analyze your portfolio here. You would use this drop-down box. You can do all of your investments at once. I don't like to do that. I like to do each portfolio separate. I don't know why, but I just do. But you're more than welcome to do all of your investments or click the ones that you want to analyze. Drop that, it's going to recalculate. And then basically you would have access to all of this. And again, we have a lesson solely on this. We just don't have time to go over this today, but look in your help menu and the getting started. Oh, I'm sorry, where is it? Go to your help menu. Bootcamp video tutorials, previously recorded boot camps. And that's going to be under portfolio management too, I believe. And this is where I was telling you guys when we were trying to tell you about the health and VQ. We have an entire lesson just focused on our risk and health indicators, which is our proprietary algorithms, are those two alerts, the two main alerts that we started on. That lesson is completely dedicated to the risk and health, and it goes into more detail what that means. Definitely takes an entire lesson. But going back to analyze your portfolio, whoever asked that question, you'll find the video just on that here. Oh, media not found. I'll fix that. I don't know why that's not there, but there should be a boot camp there. Here's the script. I'll fix that when we're off. But that's going to be definitely on analyzing your portfolio, because there's a lot of good stuff on Analyze Portfolio, all these tools. The risk rebalancer, how it actually gives you positions to replace your red zone positions. So it's really neat. Most of you with TradeStops should have access to this. You might not have access to some tabs like the risk rebalancer if you don't have like premium, pro, or elite, but you should have access to most of those. James, how much brokerage accounts can you connect with? You can have as many brokerage accounts as you like. We do give you, I think, 12 portfolios to start with, or 20 actually. If you have more than 20 brokers, I've only seen a couple of people the whole entire time I've worked here in 5 years that have multiple brokers. And most of the time, those are money managers. So we do definitely have money managers that use our system, believe it or not. But you can definitely, if you need more than 20 portfolios, just give our customer service a call and they can add more portfolios. But you can have as many brokers as you like, and we can sync with as many brokers as you like. Lynn, that's a good question. So she's saying when I said log in once a week to keep the sync, when you first log in and you put your login, like your username and password, it says log in for 2 weeks, do we still need to log in every week? So that's actually separate. The keep me signed in for 2 weeks, that is basically just keeping your password there. So when you bring up our site, you're automatically logged in. But we still want you to click on our website at least once a week. And it could be for seconds. You just click it, open the page and click it off. But again, we just tell you that you should do that. You don't have to though. You'll know if we lose the sync. You'll get an email from our wonderful sync team letting you know, hey, we lost the sync connection. Since we don't store your broker credentials, we need you to come into your TradeSmith account and update your username and password for your broker account, because again, it's read-only data transfer files and we don't store your credentials. So say that you changed your password over at your broker, and you didn't come over to our system and change it. So say you changed your broker password. You definitely want to come to our system, pull up that portfolio from that broker, which is going to be the synced portfolios, and you will want to definitely update your password. And the way to do that is to click this little refresh button. And these instructions are in the script. So say you change your broker credentials, you have to come over here and change it on our site or the sync will stop. So you want to come here, click on update credentials, and then hit synchronize. And I'm not going to do it because I don't want to, this is a test account that Marina uses and a couple of our developers. So I don't want to change anything. But if you hit synchronize, you'll get like a box that has your username and password, and that's where you can update your credentials. But again, if we lose the sync, you're going to get an email from our sync team because they get a list every morning and they let our members know that stop syncing with us to see if everything's okay and to get you back on track. Gregory, that's a good question. Can a health rating be requested for a security not rated? It cannot, unfortunately. We do, again, our health indicators are very comprehensive. We will not assign a health without that 2 years worth of data, which is technically 521 public trading days. So we need 521 public trading days to assign a health. And if we don't have that, we will not assign a health and you can't request it. I'm sorry. Let me get to like another question, then the rest I'm going to have to follow up with you. Margaret said, I noticed that UPS is listed as strong bullish, yet from yesterday to today, the stock tanked due to poor performance. Why would you have it listed as strong bullish? All right, let's see. UPS. Okay, so yeah, it's strong bullish. Now, this is our ratings product. Our ratings product is not going based on 100% math. The rating product is taking into consideration fundamentals and technicals. So a lot of times you will see a stock performing strong, but it's in the red because these are two different indicators. We just give you, if you have ratings, we give you access to all this to kind of have different things in your tool belt, I guess, to look at. But it doesn't mean that you go solely based on getting into UPS because it's strong bullish. No, this is just another factor that you can look at to decide. But if you click on UPS here, right here, if you look at your stock rating, it does say strong bullish. If you want to see why, click on detailed overview here, and it's going to tell you why we rated it strong bullish down here. So you'll see that in the fundamentals, they're doing excellent. I mean, they're strong bullish with our billionaires that own it. They're bullish in newsletters, and their business quality score, which is another product. I know we have a lot of products and it's hard to keep up, but another product is the business quality score, the BQS, and that is 83, which is excellent. So that's strong bullish. So what happens is the ratings takes all of these different ratings and basically calculates it all together, and that is like the outcome. And there's two strong bullish versus bullish and no bearish here, so it's going to be considered strong bullish. And then here it's only one strong bearish compared to all the bullish here. So these basically push this aside and take over because there's more bullish than bearish, if that makes sense. But you will see that some stocks are in the red, but they're a strong bullish stock. And again, I know it's surprising to see UPS in the red, but they are. All right, so I hope that answered your question, Margaret. All right, let's see. Okay, Larry, that's a good question. So Larry said that in the program, okay, that's a good question. Let me go back. I had to have some visuals here for you guys. I'm going to go back to my portfolio. And this is a question that we get a lot. I'm going to go to my investments. So basically the program only lets you put one entry date in and say that you buy more of the stock. Where do you put that entry date? And you can't yet, even if you try to resync, it usually keeps the oldest date unless you change it, but we don't allow you to do multiple purchase lots, it's called. So basically you can only use one entry date. So if you want to change that, you certainly can. If you click on the ticker symbol here and open this, you can change the entry date here. Again, it's going to go by your oldest entry date when you bought the first set of shares. If you add to the shares, it's just going to, in the nightly sync, it's just going to update your shares, but keep your entry date. Again, we don't factor in for multiple purchase lots, unfortunately. But that is on our feature request list. Okay, Jan, that's a good question. I don't know if I can answer it, but we'll see. So Jan said, what if you want to buy a stock in the red zone? For example, she bought Tesla. So let's look at Tesla. She bought Tesla for, let me bring up Tesla, hold on. So for example, I bought Tesla at 170. At that time, it was in the red zone when she bought it. Now it's closing at 240 or higher. If she was following our indicators, she wouldn't have bought Tesla when she did. Any comment? So no, that is a good comment. So if you're following the exit strategy, we say it's not healthy, it's in the red, don't buy. But Jan said, well, I bought, and it was at 170 and now the stock's up to 240. So obviously she's making money off that stock. But if you're following the health exit strategy, you would not usually get in unless you're kind of like a risk taker, because this is considered a high risk stock. So if say we had a like the COVID crash, say we had a crash or something, Tesla is extremely high risk at almost 46%. So you're basically going to risk that 46% if something were to happen to the market and you needed to get out and turn to cash, you would potentially lose a little over $100, it looks like, because the current stop price that you would get alerted at. So if you're in this trade right now, Jan, and you put that VQ on that I told you to, when we put the VQs on, you're not going to get an alert to get out of Tesla until it closes at $136. So that's a lot to lose from 247 to 136 to wait for that alert. So if I were you, I would go in and put a fixed price alert on Tesla, because this alert is no longer, once the alert turns to red, the health indicator's out the door. The health indicator now is only waiting for it to go back into the green to give you a reentry signal. So the health alert is gone. The second alert is the VQ. Again, you're not going to get that second alert until it goes all the way down to $136. I don't think you would want to do that to protect your investment. I would highly suggest going in here and adding a fixed alert, which I do on some stocks that I have that are in the red. So you definitely want, if this is in your portfolio, add that alert. This is not in my portfolio, so I can't add the alert, but let me see if I can quickly add that to my portfolio, and I'll show you how to add that fixed alert again, because you definitely want to put that on to have some type of safety net or alert watching that for you. Because God forbid, something happens to the market and so forth, that's not going to be good for you. All right, so click on manage. I'm going to go to my test investment. Let me just add Tesla really, really quick so I can show you how to add the alert. Okay, I'm going to say that I bought it the 4th. Oh, look, so you probably bought it like around there, huh? All right, 10, I'll just put save and close. I just added that really quickly. That's all I was doing. Let me go down to Tesla. So what you want to do is click on Tesla. you want to have that VQ that I had added on there. So I'm going to go to alerts, add alert. First, I want to add the VQ. I'm going to add that. And then I want to add the fixed price alert. This alert, you definitely want to have a hard stop on it. So say the latest close is 100, well, the latest close is $148.35. Say that you want to be alerted if it closes at 240. Definitely come down here to the fixed price alert. Oh, and add that in there. So 240. So I'm telling the system that if Tesla closes at $240 or below, I want to be alerted and hit alert. So now I can feel better at night when I sleep that I have that alert at 240 versus the trailing stop alert, which is on there. So you have two versus waiting to get down to $142 before I get out. I'll get an alert at 240. So I hope that helps. In one of our at the bottom of the FAQs, I'll put the video that we have for setting up all of these different alerts. But definitely this is one of my favorite alerts, in addition to the health and VQ, is the fixed hard stop alerts, where you decide when you want to be alerted at what price. I don't know. I just it looks better to me when I put a number in there and I compare it. So I use this fixed price alert a lot. You can also use it on the other side where you want to be alerted if it goes above a certain price that you have here. So you can work it either way. All right. So unfortunately, that's all the questions I can get to. The rest of the questions, I will definitely follow up with you. I'm going to pull the Excel spreadsheet with all of those. So give me about 48 hours. I'm sorry that we don't have anybody on chat to answer those as you're answering them. It's just a one-man band when I do my webinars. But I'll definitely get to your questions. And if any questions arise that you thought of after we ended, go ahead and send it to webinars@tradesmith.com and put attention Kristen or Marina, or Kristen and Marina, and our customer service agents will put that in our queue, and we'll get to you back. We'll get back to you directly. I appreciate all of your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And yes, this video will be available tomorrow afternoon via email. You'll get the edited version once I edit this, and then you'll get the script with all the FAQs and the answers and the PowerPoint slides I'll also include. So yes, you'll get this tomorrow afternoon. All right. I hope you enjoy your week, everyone. Take care, okay? And thanks for joining me.